Chad, tell me why today's ceremony is important and what it means to you and to the officers.
Well, for me, it's special to me because it gives me a chance to acknowledge and recognize our deputies, our employees that just go above and beyond and just doing the extraordinary. You heard some stories today about people that saved lives, literally. That just went the extra mile. The deputy that went back because he wasn't comfortable the next day because the suspect's gun was never found and kept searching and found it actually, and probably prevented some little child picking that gun up because the gun was painted teal blue or whatever color, so obviously it would have been perceived as a toy. Just those stories, saving the 4-month-old, saving the gentleman that was unloading the McDonald's truck. I mean, that's just those are things we're celebrating. And because our deputies aren't just fighting crime, they're serving the community in all kind of different capacities. And of course now we're getting into life-saving opportunities, and it's more than just responding to domestic calls or working armed robberies. It's responding to calls that they hear that they're close by, where there's a cardiac arrest possibly, or someone with a gaping injury, and they try to go help sustain that person or sustain life until EMS can actually get there. And those are the kind of stories that I think the community should hear about. The rest of the department should hear about it, because we have a big department, so they don't always hear what goes on, and so we want to take this opportunity to recognize them. Any opportunity I get to celebrate our employees, I look for those opportunities because these people should be celebrated. They give up a lot. I know it's tough times for law enforcement right now, but the community needs to know that the folks that are serving their community could go there's so many other job opportunities, especially right now. I mean, there's so many places that pay more. They're trying to be competitive because they can't find employees. So these folks could easily leave here and go make 10, 20,000 more a year somewhere else, but they don't. They want to serve their community, and we should celebrate them every opportunity we get.
And how can the public both show their support and relay their concerns to y'all? What's the best way for them to get in touch with y'all?
Yeah, some of the recognitions that we received that I read out today, some of them were initiated actually by citizens of the county. So, we received so many attaboys, is what I call them, attaboys. On our face, we received cards, letters, calls, voicemails, everything else. Sometimes they're anonymous even. They say, hey, I don't even care to leave my name or anything, but this deputy responded to this incident and he went above and beyond. He was so caring, or she was so caring about and considerate. And so we take note of that, and we celebrate that with the deputy. Of course, we put those accolades in their files, and and it's just good to recognize the attaboys that you get, because certainly complaints, and that's just business anywhere, but you're going to receive some complaints, and you have to look into those and take them seriously. So why not look into the attaboys and take those just as seriously? And so that's the way we feel like that's the culture here at our sheriff's office, and we believe we should celebrate our people because they're worth celebrating.
Perfect.
We have our Employees of the Month. Bear with us, we're going back to November 2020. And we're going to start from there. So we're going to start with Employee of the Month, November 2020. On November 30th, 2020, Master Deputy Josh Scott assisted uniform patrol by responding to a motor vehicle break-in. The suspects were spotted by citizens and then fled the scene. The suspects have, not the citizens. Deputy Scott began patrolling the area and located the suspect walking away from the neighborhood where the incident occurred. The suspect was arrested for the incident. During the incident, the suspect was observed with a gun. On the neighborhood surveillance video, at the time of arrest, he was unarmed. Deputy Scott returned to the area that the suspect was arrested the following day and located the firearm in the front yard of a residence. The pistol had a baby blue handle and would have been mistaken easily for a toy. While recovering the firearm, the resident came out and said that his child would have mistaken the firearm for a toy and would have most likely could have had an accident with it. Deputy Scott went above and beyond his normal duties. His actions during this incident, along with countless others, should be commended. He is dedicated to this agency and to this community in which he loves and serves. So, Master Deputy Scott, come on up, please. All right, December 2020, Employee of the Month. This comes from Chief Pilot Chuck Angle. I would like to express my appreciation for Josh Hawkins and the group led by November 40, which is Josh, for their efforts in locating the lost boater on the Seneca River on the 22nd of October of 2020. Josh was able to locate and identify the missing boater from the air. Later, after flying for about 5 hours, he requested permission to fly a night flight to employ the FLIR to search the riverbanks. After flying for about 45 minutes with no result, he decided to check the wooded area to the north. He located a small fire and notified the command center. He was told there were hunters in the area. He requested that the occupant on scene be checked. Josh responded and walked into the area cross country from Fance Grove Road, a distance I would estimate to be at least 3 miles in the dark through heavily vegetated terrain. Josh located the fire and the occupant, who turned out to be the subject that had been missing for a great deal of time, and did a wonderful job. So Josh Hawkins, please. Is Josh here? Okay, there he is. Come on up, Josh. I know. Here. Well, he goes by Shaggy. Makes sense with his hair, right? No, it's because Shaggy off Scooby-Doo, right?
Yeah.
That's people. When I was 14, but they mistake you for Shaggy off Scooby-Doo. So make it up for lost time here. All right, January 21, Employee of the Month. This comes from former Lieutenant Jacob Bowl, now Captain Jacob Bowl. I'd like to nominate Deputy Christopher Sellers for Deputy of the Month for January 2021. On January the 8th of this year, Deputy Sellers was on duty. Deputy Sellers received a call from dispatch asking if he would give a ride to a homeless gentleman that was a concerned citizen that had seen, to give a ride to a homeless gentleman that a concerned citizen had seen sleeping on a bench outside of a business. The citizen was concerned because the forecast was calling for snow and told dispatch that if we could give the homeless man a ride, he would pay for a hotel room for the man once he arrived at the hotel. Deputy Sellers told dispatch that he would drive the homeless man to the hotel, which was on 153, to get him out of the weather. Once at the hotel, Deputy Sellers waited and the concerned citizen never showed or provided payment for the hotel room. Deputy Sellers was upset because he had already told the homeless man he was going to get him a room for the night and didn't want to send the male back outside to sleep in the environment. With little options available, Deputy Sellers paid out of his own money to provide the homeless man a place to stay out of the cold for that night. Deputy Sellers committed a selfless act without hesitation and without any promise for reimbursement, nor did he hardly tell anyone. He did it because he cares about the community he serves. Deputy Sellers' act embodied the ACSO core values, and he should be commended for his selfless service. So, come on up. All right, February 21, Employee of the Month. This is submitted by Nathan Mitchell, Sergeant at the Anderson County Detention Center, investigator. This letter is to formally notify you that one of our detention deputies' actions on February the 11th of 2021. Detention Deputy T. Brown was on shift on this day, which is Tammy Brown, and assigned to the female pods. Ms. Brown received information that one of the female inmates had contraband in the facility. The contraband was said to be a large amount of methamphetamines. Detention Deputy Brown took action and investigated the matter, which resulted in a large amount of methamphetamines being discovered. The substance was packaged in 4 different bags, and the total weight at the time of the report was 67.4 grams. That's a good bit of meth. That'll last you for a couple hours. Due to Ms. Brown's act, I'm kidding, that would be probably weeks. Due to Ms. Brown's actions, I was able to obtain a trafficking methamphetamine warrant on the subject. This action and the results of her investigation prevented a catastrophic series of events within our facility. Of course it did. Due to the large quantity of this substance, it could have led to misuse of it, such as overdoses or injuries to inmates or officers. So therefore, I'm submitting this letter of commendation to you so that it may be placed in Detention Deputy Tammy Brown's file. Her vigilance and determination should be applauded and set as an example for how detention deputies carry out their duties. So that is probably actually one of the biggest busts in the jail or at least that I can remember, which would certainly cover probably the methamphetamine times. But anyway, Tammy Brown, is she here today? There she is. Come on. All right, March 21, Employee of the Month. This comes from Detective Kendall Cash, a detective in CID. I would like to nominate Detective Justin Carroll for Employee of the Month. He has been assigned 6 armed robbery cases since the beginning of January, which were committed by 4 unknown suspects at the time of the assignment. Detective Carroll has spent countless hours going through cell phone search warrants, leading to the identification of a suspect who has been charged with all 6 armed robberies. In addition, Detective Carroll was able to identify 2 of the remaining 3 unknown suspects, to identify 2 of the remaining 3 unknown suspects, and has charged those 2 with 3 counts of armed robbery. There were additional charges pending for the 2 of the suspects, including armed robbery and possession of a weapon during the commission of a felony. The Seneca Police Department has also been able to charge one of the suspects with at least 1 count of armed robbery that occurred in their jurisdiction, and there are possibly pending charges from the Anderson City Police Department during their ongoing investigation that is parallel. In total, there have been 3 suspects charged with 9 charges stemming from Detective Carroll's investigation. Since the first arrest was made, no additional incidents have occurred in Anderson County's jurisdiction, matching the motives found in these 6 cases. The dedication and hard work shown by Detective Carroll is exemplary and should be the standard, not only for all Anderson County Sheriff's Office employees, but for law enforcement, for the entire law enforcement community as a whole. I would like for his efforts to be considered in voting for the next Employee of the Month, and I appreciate your time. Thank you, Detective Kendall Cash, for submitting, because it was. Detective Carroll, please come up. Awesome. Great job, man. All right, Justin's another one that started with me, and I'm proud to see where he's at now and solving a bunch of armed robbery cases. That's great. All right, April 21, Employee of the Month. And these next 2 are pretty cool. So all of them are, but these are, of course, the most recent. But this one especially, anytime it involves a child, is extra special, at least to me. I hope it is to y'all. April 21, Employee of the Month. On Monday, April 26, 2021, at approximately 1 p.m., I won't say 1,300 hours for you civilians in the room. That's 1 p.m. Deputy Bowen and other deputies responded to 400 Ponce de Leon Drive in Anderson County in reference to a 911 call for service about a 4-month-old male who is in cardiac arrest. Deputy Bowen arrived on scene, and the infant's father handed Deputy Bowen the infant, stating he was unresponsive and not breathing. Deputy Bowen started CPR on the child, was able to revive the child long enough for EMS to get on scene. Deputy Bowen then helped secure the scene while detectives started an investigation. The infant was airlifted to Greenville Memorial Hospital, where he is in stable condition at the time of this letter. Deputy Josh Bowen's actions on that day saved the infant's life. His quick thinking, instant reaction, and knowledge of his CPR duties brought the child back to life. And Lieutenant Todd Karen and I would like to recognize his heroic actions, and he should be recognized. Sincerely, Staff Sergeant John Wilkinson. So, Deputy Bowen, Josh Bowen, you here? May 21, Employee of the Month. On May 9th, 2021, I actually heard this call myself at 14:34 hours, which is 2:34 p.m. A call was received at Central Dispatch for an individual located at the McDonald's, located at 1407 Pyramidary Road. The caller was in the process of unloading a frozen food truck at the location, where he fell on a pallet, causing a large laceration to the inside of his right leg. The injury resulted in a femoral artery bleed, which you don't have long after that happens. The caller was on the phone with dispatch, attempting to give his location in relations to the restaurant, his truck, and the sidewalk he was sitting on. He was self-administering direct pressure to his wound the best he could. However, he stated he was about to lose consciousness due to his blood loss. He stated he felt he was about to go into shock. Deputy Hyatt, Johnny Hyatt, and other officers responded from the sheriff's office upon hearing the call. Deputy Hyatt was the first to arrive on scene, According to CAT, at 2:40 p.m., as soon as Deputy Hyatt located and reached the subject on the sidewalk, he immediately recognized the seriousness of the injury to be life-threatening and knew time was of the essence. Within seconds of his arrival, Deputy Hyatt applied a tourniquet above the injury, thus controlling further blood loss. After further stabilization by arriving EMS personnel, the patient was airlifted to Greenville Trauma Center. Upon speaking to the medical personnel after the incident from the flight crew and also from the Greenville Trauma Center, Deputy Hyatt is given direct credit for life-saving actions in this incident. It was stated that if Deputy Hyatt had not acted within 2 minutes of the arrival in the manner of care that he gave, the results would have been much different. We are blessed as an HC to have an example such as Deputy Hyatt represent us on a daily basis, and especially one such as today, as we say to him, thank you, Deputy Hyatt, your actions saved a life. Johnny Hyatt. That goes to show you we don't just answer crime-related calls. So many of our deputies, we're proud to say, are EMTs, first responders. We even have a few paramedics, so we're very proud of those that have taken on those additional learning opportunities so they can learn more about life in general and life-saving techniques. And so we're glad to have those traveling throughout the county and patrolling, and because they can really make a difference in the life of a 4-month-old or a gentleman that's just simply unloading hamburgers at McDonald's. Isn't that amazing? So, but anyway, I really appreciate all of y'all being here. Thank you for spending so much time with us as we got through this whole list. Please come back anytime. You're welcome to any of these. We love any opportunity we can to celebrate our employees because they're worth celebrating. So y'all have a good afternoon. Stay safe. God bless you.